again, to explain how this coup works. These private multinationals that have taken control of the national security apparatus have openly tried to intimidate everybody in the media, everybody in government, tell them that when Trump gets taken out, you're going to get it too. So that's why so many people pay lip service against Trump, because they're scared. Just like the polls show, people won't tell people they're for Trump, but then when they actually vote, they vote for Trump. It's the same thing. It's that little secret. Well, it's important to not be secret about it. It's important to be out in the open about it and realize the score, what we're facing here. There are a lot of powerful evil forces arrayed against America. But if we ever expose those forces, and if people realize who those forces are, folks are going to choose the right way. Prosperity, justice, freedom, it's all waiting. And so let's talk about, though, if they go kinetic and how they're preparing to go kinetic. They're testing their perch. They're testing the water right now, the level not seen the last 3 years, not seen since this began, and why you think the time is so critical and why Trump's activated the Marines in case they try to take them out.
The Democrats know many of them are going to go to jail. They will be indicted. They will be criminally charged. Many of them will spend the rest of their lives in prison when the truth comes out about their FISA warrant, court abuse, their collusion, their obstruction of justice, their witness tampering, all the things that they did. But there's one more scenario here that I'll share with you, Alex, that just came to light when I was talking to my contacts. And that is that with the U.S. Marine Corps forces activated, Trump could flip this to invoking the Insurrection Act and then reach out and arrest through military police the traitors, the treasonous actors in the United States who are attempting to carry out a coup. So it might be that the president is hoping that they will try this so that the president can then invoke the Insurrection Act and send out the Marines to literally hunt down, arrest, and detain these treasonous criminals to face military tribunals.
InfoWars, the most banned network in the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back live, broadcasting worldwide. Thank you so much for joining us on this live Monday show. Trump has the deep state trying to take him out right now. They're openly saying they're going to kill him. They're going to kill Giuliani on the news. And now, coming up next segment, I'm going to play clips of Joy Reid and others fantasizing about how they're going to threaten his cabinet so that they basically remove him, 22nd Amendment, or they threaten Trump where he leaves. Also, one of his former, quote, executives, she worked in one of his buildings, says she thinks he'll resign. So what they're doing is they're telegraphing the message to Trump: give up and we'll let you go, make a deal with us so that you don't win the next election, and so we can discredit everything and discredit the American populist movement and continue rolling forward with the censorship, the open borders, the gun confiscation. The mask is off. We'll continue with your calls as well. Brad and Brian and Nathan and Will and Kenny and Alex. We'll at least get to those calls in this hour. Then Gerald Celente, always informative, hard-hitting, will be in the fourth hour in the War Room. Owen Schroyer, then Firepower, 7 o'clock Central, with Will Johnson and Tom Pappert and others kicking butt. And again, David Knight, weekday mornings, 8 a.m. You can find it all at band.video. The site is exponentially, logarithmically growing. Thanks to you, word of mouth. Tell folks, hey, you want to hear what you're not supposed to hear about the real war going on, while the censorship's happening, what they don't want you to hear? Band.video. So thank you for that. And also support the local stations in your area, TV, radio. Please tell folks about those. Mike Adams is an engineer. He also owns one of the largest testing facilities in Texas, and one of the largest in the U.S. Does a great job there. Does a lot of scientific work. He owns Natural News. He's a filmmaker, documentary filmmaker, and also author, and publishes Multinational. And he's an expert on a lot of the things happening with genetic engineering and more. But the reason he joins us now, the reason he joins us today, is to get into that big article that he published yesterday at naturalnews.com. U.S. Marine Reserve units activated for emergency within the United States, close quote, continuing, which will, in quotes, come with little warning, quote, threats in the homeland. We are not calling for an end to Posse Comitatus. That's not troops on the street policing people in the civil authority. The president of an outside rogue group, outside of the legislature, outside of law, tries to remove him, as they're now saying. They said on the Aspen Institute, on CNN, we're going to remove him outside of impeachment. And Blitzer says, how are you going to do that? And they said, just watch. So that's illegal. That's dangerous. We need to have a debate about this. What happens if they remove Trump? In fact, one of the callers says here, what happens after Trump is removed? We'll go to that call first. But Mike Adams, break down here how huge this is. And we've never seen a Marine Corps order like this. It happened 4 days ago. You're linked in your article to the order. This is not a joke. It's not a drill. And the president says we're in a civil war. He says there is an active coup. We told people this a couple years ago, but now it's the president. People say, even the Austin American Statesman, it was in the print edition. I saw it, and people were telling me about it. Oh, suddenly the whole country's Alex Jones and InfoWars. Talk of martial law, talk of civil war, talk of coups by everybody. Well, that's because we're just covering reality. It was already going on. Now it's out in the open. What would you call this critical time and how huge this is, Mike Adams?
Well, it's important to understand that this order talks about these troops, Marine Corps Reserve units, ISO civil authorities, means in support of civil authorities. So you're absolutely correct when you say this is not an attempt to bypass posse comitatus. This is using Reserve Marine Corps forces to support civil authorities who will be engaged in a lawful pursuit to shut down those who are engaged in breaking the law. So that's step one of this. But I've reached out to my contacts in the military, active military, as well as some retired military, and they've told me a couple of interesting things. Number one, they say that normally these orders have a 120-day window of being active. So if that's true, then what that means is Trump is expecting a hard coup, a kinetic coup within the next 120 days. And that timeline actually lines up with what we're seeing with the mass hysteria in the media, the calls for killing Trump or impeaching Trump or shivving Rudy Giuliani and so on. So there's an amping up that seems to be pointing to a desperate timeline on the part of the Dems. We also know that the documents from the IG investigation and the DOJ, AG William Barr and so on, are expected to be released in the next perhaps 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 weeks as an outlier, but within that 120-day window. And it's widely believed by those of us who are in the know here, and I know you believe this as well, that the Democrats know many of them are going to go to jail. They will be indicted. They will be criminally charged. Many of them will spend the rest of their lives in prison when the truth comes out about their FISA warrant, court abuse, their collusion, their obstruction of justice, their witness tampering, all the things that they did. But there's one more scenario here that I'll share with you, Alex, that just came to light when I was talking to my contacts. And that is that with the U.S. Marine Corps forces activated, Trump could flip this to invoking the Insurrection Act and then reach out and arrest through military police the traitors, the treasonous actors in the United States who are attempting to carry out a coup. So it might be that the president is hoping that they will try this so that the president can then invoke the Insurrection Act and send out the Marines to literally hunt down, arrest, and detain these treasonous criminals to face military tribunals. So those are the scenarios that are now being assessed by people who are in the know.
Well, let's be clear. If the president knows there's people in the executive branch who are not following orders and will try to organize a coup against him, that's normally how it works. Traitors inside the executive working with other groups in the legislature and then with financiers behind it, then the president needs to go after them. That's what happens in 7 Days in May with famous Hollywood actors, Burt Lancaster and others. It's a simulated situation. And they end up having to use the Marines to basically stop the other military from taking over. I'm going from memory on that. Guys, cue up the trailer for 7 Days in May. It came out in the 1960s because there was actually talk about this going on back then. This happens in third world countries all the time. And I want to be clear. We don't want a coup. President Trump was elected. The coup is illegal. And so you have to meet an attack with force and a response. And so this is good that the president's doing this. The word is he already had the Marines at the highest levels ready. He's just taking the gun off safety, hoping they back down and we can move forward. He doesn't want to hurt the stock market. He doesn't want to have to, have a crisis just to prove, that he's dominant over these people. He was elected. They weren't. That's why they're saying all these violent things is to embolden others. The Joker movie is a total Antifa worship, kill the police, murder all the government people that are conservative. murder the Trump types. I mean, they admit they're trying to cause a civil war because they're losing and they're failing. So we don't want them to try this. That's why I went ahead and told the story. I was told by a very close Trump confidant who had dinner with him at Mar-a-Lago right when he was gotten into office. I guess it was probably the first trip to Mar-a-Lago. And this individual, I'm not going to get into all the details. And I wasn't told never tell this story, but I never really told this story. I just mentioned I'd heard this from others. Then I did ask around about this, but Trump is very fatalistic. He said, I always wanted to get elected. I always thought I could get elected. I didn't want to have to do this unless I had to. But if they try to take me out by impeachment or whatever, I'll go through it. I'll, let them have the trial. They remove me, then that's what happens. He goes, I'm putting everything on this, my name, everything, because, these people just can't be allowed to run this beautiful country in the ground. But he said, if they try a coup, and if they try to remove me outside of law, I'm going to call out the Marines and surround the White House, and then we're going to arrest their asses. So he's very fatalistic, and I was told very fatalistic. And by fatalistic, he doesn't want to die or fail. He's pedal to the metal, beyond confident, committed that he's going to follow this course. So I think it's good news to put that out. The president's not going to resign, folks. He's not going to resign so Hillary can slide in and get into office. Not going to happen. Don't hold your breath.
And Alex, watch for simultaneous activation of the terror cells that were brought into this country, relocated under the Obama administration, actually shipped to the cities to await orders, and they were brought in with the illegal migrant caravans. So there are terror cells ready to be activated.
And by the way, that's confirmed. You'll have the floor when we come back, Mike Adams. I forgot about that. That's so critical. Also, they have the Hezbollah cells, the MS-13, all God's children that Pelosi talks about. This isn't a game. This isn't a joke. This is the globalists making their move on America. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Again, to explain how this coup works, these private multinationals that have taken control of the national security apparatus have openly tried to intimidate everybody in the media, everybody in government, tell them that when Trump gets taken out, you're going to get it too. So that's why so many people pay lip service against Trump, because they're scared. Just like the polls show, people won't tell people they're for Trump, but then when they actually vote, they vote for Trump. It's the same thing. It's that little secret. Well, it's important to not be secret about it. It's important to be out in the open about it and realize the score, what we're facing here. There are a lot of powerful evil forces arrayed against America. But if we ever expose those forces and if people realize who those forces are, folks are going to choose the right way. Prosperity, justice, freedom, it's all waiting. And so let's talk about, though, if they go kinetic and how they're preparing to go kinetic. They're testing their perch. They're testing the water right now, the level not seen in the last 3 years, not seen since this began, and why you think the time is so critical and why Trump's activated the Marines in case they try to take them out.
Well, it's critical to understand that if once they pull the trigger on this kinetic coup or hard coup against Trump, as we're calling it, this will be accompanied by many other plans that have been put in place since Barack Obama. The Obama administration installed terror cells all across America. Former President Obama is, I believe, a terrorist against America. He actively sought to provide nuclear weapons to Iran. He actively sought to share U.S. technology with China and Iran by arranging for the capture of a U.S. drone.
He funded the whole
Navy
Arab
ship.
Spring and destabilized all of that. He means business.
And his plans are still in place, and he is still their commander-in-chief. So there are terror cells waiting for an order from Obama. And when the coup goes down, I predict, you're going to see attempts to sabotage the power grid by these terror cells. So there are going to be local grid down situations. You're going to see attempts to sabotage military bases, especially in places like California. And those bases could be hit with all kinds of things, including small-scale EMP weapons as well. So you're going to see chaos across America, and they want this chaos. They want to cause a market crash. No matter what happens to the impeachment outcome, the Democrats and the deep state know if they can crash the market, then they can roll out a whole new narrative. Oh, well, Trump survived impeachment, but look, the economy has, gone to pot.
And let's be clear, the biggest movie in years, Joker, is openly about Antifa. Paul Watson went to it, felt physically ill. The darkness left with him for days. It is a Antifa, rise up, murder police, burn buildings, kill everybody. It's beautiful to be a psychotic. It's meant to cause mass shootings. I mean, they're really trying to do this.
Well, and don't forget that in California now, and Breitbart is in a big war with, I think, the Los Angeles Police Department right now. In Los Angeles, they will not hire conservatives to be police officers, but they will hire gang members. So you're actually seeing an MS-13 infiltration of law enforcement in Los Angeles and perhaps other cities across California. This is consistent with what Obama did to bring terrorists into America and have them infiltrate, in fact, law enforcement. And California itself, run
New
by
Mexico's hiring illegal aliens to be police.
Oh yeah, right. So this is happening across the board. They are waiting for an activation signal, and that activation signal will coincide with a hard coup attempt. And of course, CNN will stage this, or they will be there to film this being staged exactly as they staged the raid on Roger Stone. CNN was tipped off so that they could make Roger Stone look guilty on camera.
Or
They're going
during
to
the
try to
Arab
pull off
Spring,
same thing with
the
Trump.
CNN reporters, they're saying how wonderful it was that freedom was taking over when they were murdering and killing Christians and others en masse.
Exactly right. But of course, CNN and the Democrats, they vastly underestimate the will of the people. So we're talking about bikers for Trump, truckers for Trump, even union workers for Trump, former law enforcement, former military, veterans for Trump, just armed citizens for Trump, for America. It's a massive contingent of people who are just not going to stand by and let their country be steamrolled and watch Hillary Clinton be installed as a president. You know this scenario, Alex. If they get rid of Trump and Pence, Nancy Pelosi becomes president. Nancy Pelosi appoints Hillary as the vice president, and then Pelosi resigns, making Hillary the president. Their plan is to install Hillary Clinton as president by the end of this year. That's their plan.
And let's explain why she wouldn't run. That way all the corruption isn't brought up. That way all the other candidates chew themselves up. That way an impeachment begins. Trump's, quote, in trouble, and then in slides Hillary Clinton. She's been collecting the money. She's been telling her underlings she's still going to run. This is a fact. And now it's all over the news that she does intend to run.
And if they succeed in this plan, by the way, and I think they will fail, but in their minds they think they will succeed, then she doesn't have to campaign. She will be installed as president. That's what they hope to do. They don't even need her to go to any debates. They're going to install an authoritarian dictatorship, or at least they think they will. And from that point on, it's mass executions of all Trump supporters. You and me and all of us will be on the hit list, the death squad list. That's exactly what will happen, because there's zero tolerance in the minds of leftists for the existence of Christians, conservatives, or Trump supporters, or gun owners for that matter. It's going to be nationwide gun confiscation, mass death squads. They're going to take down any opposition to Democrats, and they're going to try to rule. This is their plan again. I think they will fail, but their plan is to rule America forevermore as basically communist China rules over China. That's their plan. China is the model for the way the Democrats want to rule America. So what's stopping them, of course, is the Second Amendment, veterans, patriotism, common sense.
But that's why when they then carry out the attack, if anybody resists, they're going to go, oh, it's the white nationalists resisting. Everybody who's brown, shoot the white nationalists. You can see the whole admitted preparation for this.
Yep. And this is why you've seen deep state elements declare white nationalism as being terrorism recently. They're setting the stage for the narrative that you just described.
And they've got Maoist groups that UT and every other university that control Antifa. They're just the decoys, ready with hit list, ready with their, quote, A-teams. And, of course, they're pathetic, but they're just the front people for real hit teams that are going to be coming. We're not trying to scare folks. This is the globalist attempted takedown. A country couldn't be taken down as powerful of us from without, but it can be done from within. We're going to go to break soon. We'll go to calls when we come back. But I'm going to play an MSNBC clip where they say, oh, we're going to remove Trump, put Pelosi in. Then we have a, quote, former Trump executive saying, oh, I think he'll resign. They're putting all this out there. Mike, how do we reach out to the president and others and Congress and say, hey, hold the line, don't back down to the intimidation, that we've got to understand that if we give into this, it means red terror?
Well, we do exactly what we're doing right now. You stay alive, you stay on the air, you stay successful, you keep growing your network as you're doing. It's extraordinary that in the face of all these attacks and all these attempts to shut you down, you continue to grow and gain support. And that caller earlier that was saying that you're bad because you're still alive, that's absurd. You're fighting like crazy to stay alive and stay on the air, and I am too. And just the fact that we are still here is a miracle that probably means God is literally protecting us, because this is an important mission for all of humanity. Like you're only innocent if you're dead. That doesn't make any sense. No, we're alive, we're fighting for America, and more people are joining us in this effort because we will not be steamrolled by these demonic terrorists.
It's like when some bully starts a fight with you and you kick his ass, you go, wow, I did that. folks got to believe we can really change the world. Of course, InfoWars is real, but that was just a leftist calling in to put in doubt. He wasn't being legitimate. The truth is that there's not just evil in the world, there's good. And it's our amazing listeners that keep us on the air. We'll be right back with your calls and so much more. Key intel straight ahead. And who are the clowns? They're all the disheveled, drug addict, leftists who were told they were supposed to be the ruling class by the left that sold them worthless college degrees and taught them there was no God and that family wasn't good. But now they go out and kill some rich people, kill some white people. If they hate America, if they engage in mass shootings, they'll be movie stars, they'll be good guys, they'll be heroes. Really, all you'll do is burn down your neighborhood. And it's the ultra-rich that sold America out who are actually funding a class warfare system. And America's not buying it. So they produce more movies. They make more Netflix shows. They make more jokers to do it all. But you know what happened on the way? Epic Times, I remember reading it in the early 2000s. Falun Gong got involved, set it up. They were being killed, having their organs taken in China. So some Chinese Americans got together and they set up the Epic Times. And then just 6-7 years ago, they decided to do multimedia. You know, they're in the top 10 media worldwide for videos. Billions and billions of views a year. And so they get rid of InfoWars. Well, now the State Department with leftists still in it and NBC and CNN want the Epic Times taken off the air. Why? They're supporting the people in Hong Kong. You can't have that. Look at the rockets. Why? Communist China said, you apologize for criticizing us. We're saying Hong Kong deserves freedom. And they said, you're right. We'll do what you say. Send in the clowns. But Epic Times put all this together about a year ago. And it shows the whole Spygate, Brennan, Clapper, Hillary, how they set it up, how Obama did it, all the fake spies, all the fake info, how it's all a giant fraud with the media, the insurance policy. Yeah, zoom in on that. It's all right there. That's free, by the way, on their website. They're not paying me to promote this. It's good to see real journalism. You know, they reverse engineered it all just like we did, but they made a nice graph out of it. You can find that online. The Epic Times investigation into the insurance policy, the one into Spygate and the dossier networks. It's got them all right there. How they carried it out, how they did it. Now these same networks got a book out called Information War, put out by the CIA, talking about how, well, they've lost the war against the American people, but they can censor and take it back. They actually say that. You know, they are losing the war, and they're going to lose no matter what they do because you're scum. You're trying to say we're the traitors, we're the outsiders, we're the people that hate America. No, it's you and everybody knows it. You can't even shut your fat mouths in between foaming at the mouth, wanting to kill already born babies and promoting pedophilia and devil worship and everything else you're into. You're diseased psychotics. Now you tell us you're going to kill the babies after they're born. It's incredible. Mike Adams is here with us. I want to play this clip, get his take, and then take calls on Joy Reid. I'm not going to play Trump's, quote, former executive. She ran one of his buildings going, I think he'll step down. He's not for real. If you just go after him, he'll resign. If you just start the impeachment. So that's all what they're putting out. And we'll put Pelosi or Hillary in. Oh, they'll fix it for us. Here's Joy Reid having a fantasy event with her panel.
How does anything change if Donald Trump is no longer at the top of this sort of, web of corruption, but Pence is then at the top?
I'm sorry, start it over. Start it over from the beginning. This web of corruption. He's surrounded by cowards. The web is you. Perfect psychological projection. Sorry, start it over.
How does anything change if Donald Trump is no longer at the top of this sort of, web of corruption? But
sorry, start it over. Start it over. I got to say this. I'm serious. You watch all, now they say we've got to get everyone below it. All the nationalists, all the patriots, the folks you couldn't intimidate. See? Of course, you were always coming after our guns. You were always coming after our kids. You're a bunch of knuckle draggers, but you don't like civilization. You didn't build the country. You're globalist. And so now you're coming after us. Here it is.
How does anything change if Donald Trump is no longer at the top of this sort of, web of corruption, but Pence is then at the top of it?
Well, I think a couple of things happen. One, the American voters will actually see, and I remain sort of a Pollyanna, that I believe facts ultimately matter. and that, in fact, even 20 Republican senators might come to their senses and say, the country is at risk if I don't vote this way, and the facts are clear. And I think in this case, we have very clear facts. There is, and Liz and I talked about this before the show, you could impeach Pence first. The problem is that Donald Trump then has to name his replacement. But I think that maybe a deal could be struck where he was told, if you don't make a replacement, then Nancy Pelosi does become president. And so you are going to be impeached and convicted. You need to make this replacement so that the proper party remains in power.
The proper party remains in power. That's a total coup. By threatening people, we could make a deal where it's Nancy Pelosi, who's obviously on a bunch of amphetamines and can barely talk. Mike Adams, I want to go to these calls. I've been holding patiently, but these people are power mad. They're like pretending to be soldiers. They're like pretending to be rulers, but really it's just a bunch of, fat old women on, drugs, most of them, you can tell, up there about how they're going to dominate us and rule everyone and overthrow elections. This is their plan. They're telling us, wow, talk about dangerous. I guess we deserve to be conquered by this if we roll over to it and her Chi-Com handlers. What do you want to say to this Skeksis?
Well, they're admitting their plan that we've described, which is to install Hillary Clinton as president by first making Nancy Pelosi president. And, you watch these women, they are delusional. They're living in a bubble world and they're gaslighting each other. That's, if facts matter, as she said, if facts matter, the Democrats are done for forever. If facts matter, the deep state is over because it will be drained if facts matter. The facts are on our side. The nation is on our side. We are on the side of America. All of those people that you just saw, they are opposed to every principle of this nation, and many of them are deliberately functioning as enemies of the people of America. And they will probably face a day of reckoning for that, I would imagine. So that's my take on it.
I totally agree. And the fact that they're in their own little bubbles, and nothing against people that live in city areas, but you go downtown Austin or downtown Manhattan or whatever, especially younger. They're like bubble people. They don't know how to fix a tire. They don't even know how the world works, but they all just live in their own BS. And these globalists walk around amongst all these zombies and feel powerful. Look, humans are finished. No, we're not finished. America's not done. And the globalists had a chance if they kind of ignored Trump, tried to co-opt him, told him what he wanted to hear, went along with him for a lot of it. They could have waited it out. The fact that they're having a big war with us right up front, I think derails them forever. It's going to be rough on you and I and the listeners and everybody. But, I think in the end, the way they're acting is going to make it a lot worse. And what happens if they kill Trump? Doesn't that make it worse if they kill Trump too for them?
Oh, absolutely. Then it becomes activation of patriots all across America instantly. That's why they will be very reluctant to try to do that. They want to get Trump through a process that pretends to be legal. Remember, there has been no vote for impeachment proceedings. There are no real subpoenas being issued by Congress. It's all fake. It's gaslighting. It's theater. Everything the left does is theater. And so they're just rolling out the same theater
again. You made
again.
that point to me on the phone the other day. It's just like all the fake Me Too and all the fake stuff with Kavanaugh. And then they just admit the first guy wasn't even real. Now this second one, oh, that's not real. It's all just crap because it can never stand up to scrutiny. It's just made up.
Remember, one thing I said to you privately, which I'll share here, is that there will be an infinite number of whistleblowers, just like there are an infinite number of genders, because it's all make-believe. It's all delusional. They're fabricating everything. They script
why
everything.
Are they promoting? Because I saw the Joker. The whole thing worships Antifa and worships mental illness as sexy. Is that just because Hollywood is so diseased and drugged out that they're just projecting their mental illness on us?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, they're projecting what they are. Many of these people in Hollywood, the vast majority, are not only extreme substance abusers like heroin and so on, but also, of course, child traffickers, child molesters, child rapists. Some of them have child
Remember Harvey
dungeons.
Weinstein on the airplane with that whole suitcase of all those high-powered drugs?
Yeah. So these people are just projecting their mental illness and hoping to sweep America into their twisted world of death and destruction and suffering. That's what Democrats stand for. They're the party of death.
This could not be a more epic fight. Mike Adams, naturalnews.com. Your phone calls, I promise, the next couple segments. Then he's taken over Gerald Celente, but I promise I'm going to your calls, bam, 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 with Mike Adams. Stay with us. This is just so historical. I just can't even believe it. You can't, you could cut the suspense with a knife, and this isn't a movie. next 2 minutes, I am asking you very respectfully for your attention, because these two products go together like a horse and carriage, and they can change your life in so many ways. And they also fund the InfoWar, which certainly changes all our lives for the better, because if we weren't here fighting back, the globalists probably would have already had things sewn up. I mean, they legitimately think that InfoWars has been instrumental in spreading rebellion against their globalist operation and the explosion of populism and nationalism, because it's true. Our guests, our listeners, we the people, have absolutely challenged their corrupt narrative on man-made global warming, on their attacks on the family, their attacks on the Second Amendment. It is an incredibly beautiful time to be alive right now. And that's because you've been taking action. But we need funding, and you need these products. Now, our Ultimate Bone Broth is the strongest, best formula out there at half the price of leading competitors. It has great, high-quality bone broth concentrate from chicken. It then has the chaga mushroom. It has bee pollen, turmeric, and so much more. So strength, stamina, your bones, your muscles, your tendons, it really is the essence, as all the ancients, every culture knew. They would boil down bones for health and for life and for comfort and just for focus. It's incredible. Now, we also have Gut Fusion, which is an amazing product I never promote. We set out to look at top-selling brands of high-quality fiber that helps flush your guts out, but also other key ingredients that are known for gut health itself. So you gotta go read about this formula. It's 50% off, it's $19.95. It's a big canister of this stuff for your wife, your children, your neighbors, your grandparents. It's a great gift as well. Both these products are 50% off separately or together. Again, Ultimate Bone Broth and Gut Fusion from InfoWarsLife.com. Bill Gates and his father, who ran Planned Parenthood, are right. We need to dumb down, sterilize, and abort as many people as we can. We need to put as much fluoride in the water of those that are born to dumb them down as much as possible so they're more easily managed. You see, I've decided to try to join Bill Gates and try to start thinking like him. Worldwide, he directed genetically engineered mosquitoes to bite us and give us diseases. But he said it was in the name of helping people. Just like he funded the projects of these, quote, sterilized male mosquitoes that would go out in Brazil and cause the other mosquito populations to implode. But now they mutated and the numbers exploded. And suddenly the mosquitoes are making people much sicker. Oh, it wasn't a mistake. None of it was.
Now, malaria is, of course, transmitted by mosquitoes. I brought some here. There's no reason only poor people should have the experience.
Let me tell you. Except 5G, 4G, 3G. It's killing us all. We deserve to die. And don't go to InfoWarsStore.com. Oh, no. Don't get high-quality fish oil or turmeric that fights inflammation. Don't get any of the great antioxidants we have. Don't get Ultimate Bone Broth that's selling out at 50% off. It's the last week to get it. Don't support organizations and institutions that are independent and fighting for a pro-human future. Roll over to Bill and Melinda Gates, the rightful rulers of this earth. Do not go to InfoWarsStore.com and support me. And do not spread the articles and videos. Just give up and submit. Give your children over to Billy Boy. Truth is, Satan's good. Yeah, that's right. All right, thanks for watching. And thank you, Bill Gates, for all you do. Thanks for those mosquitoes. Thanks for 5G. Thanks for the chemtrails.